that on his
We
own
don't
rate.
want to know. He's
Exactly.
a baby.
He's a baby.
It's not cool, guys. What are you doing?
And he'll grow into it at some point, but right now, let him be a baby.
Leave him alone.
Exactly.
Let him experience the joys of being a baby. Milk, all the other stuff. What else happens when you're a baby?
You get a rattle, a pacifier. Pacifier is a little difficult because it's got to get through the helmet.
You get pushed around in a big
stroller.
wheelie dig.
Get carried in a papoose.
Can you carry Baby Juggernaut in that though?
It's true. We don't know the full we don't know the
weight.
Physics. The weight.
Yeah, the physics. We haven't figured that out yet. This is important stuff. We need to get a scientist on this.
I imagine because Baby Juggernaut can't really walk anywhere, let alone run. He can't get any momentum going. So then, you could.
But he would still have like a considerable amount of heft to him.
So like when Baby Juggernaut learns how to walk, is the house just going to be full of craters where Baby Juggernaut stood up and then fell over?
Yeah.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Jeez. Hi everybody, welcome to Smark Avengers. My name's Corey. Right. Yep. We're going to start with the physics of Baby Juggernaut. Where else would we start?
We're going to end on that too.
Yeah, we are. We'll bring it back around. Everybody, welcome to Smark Avengers. My name is Corey, and with me is Dylan and John. How's it going, guys?
Hi.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good.
Nice. So, the last 2 episodes, we brought up a tier list, and John and Dylan, being more Marvel Spider-Man based guys, put their opinions out there on where they think certain Batman villains rank in a tier list. So what I did is off camera, because it would be not as entertaining for me to do it. I also put together my tier list, and I figured that today we would make the official Smark Avengers Batman villain tier list by kind of just going through it again and me reminding you guys exactly where your results fall in. So are you ready for that?
Yeah. Yes. So are we gonna go like character by character and go? John said this, Dylan said this. This is Corey's vote.
Yes, and then we'll kind of figure out like, do we all line up? And if we don't line up, like, can someone be persuaded to change the opinion?
We will not all line up, and I will not be persuaded by a very certain character.
Oh, dear.
I have a feeling. But I will go ahead and start off by saying that, John, I didn't notice this when we did your episode, but I did notice it when we did Dylan's. There's a villain that's not included on the list, and it is really glaring obvious after the fact. Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, should we really quickly like put Mr. Freeze on both our lists?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll just do that one here right now. So the tier list.
Did I already put Mr. Freeze on my list?
I think we did, because I brought it up that we didn't have Mr. Freeze the last week with John.
Okay, he's on my list, so there you go.
So, well, let's go ahead and hash that. John, on the S, A, B, C, D, F tier, where would you put Mr. Freeze?
I'm gonna go for either A or B. I might go A, just because the portrayal in the animated series was pretty iconic. I'm a sucker for Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah, that'll do me.
John, Dylan, what did you put yours?
I put Mr. Freeze in A.
See, that's where we're gonna disagree. I would have him at B.
Why?
I have him at B for the same reason. I see him in that same area of like Archangel. And because Mr. Freeze only has the one storyline, and that is his wife.
Oh.
He's cold all the time, freezing. But no, he only has the one storyline with his wife, and I cannot tell you any storylines that Mr. Freeze had that didn't involve like trying to find a cure for his wife.
What if he got divorced?
Ooh. All right, that's what he's got. Again, why I'm putting him at B tier. It's what he's got. I can make stuff cold, And
this is a different storyline, though.
Yeah, but no, it's not really, because he was only a bit part in it. It was like his part was, well, he could freeze stuff. It's kind of
it's not to do with his wife though. It's different.
Well, no, so he's got 2. We need somebody who can freeze some stuff, and then we got his wife. That's it.
And what do you want?
What do you want?
Being greedy.
Well, all right. Let's table Mr. Freeze. We'll go through our tier list, and then we'll revisit Mr. Freeze, and we'll see like where he falls. So,
Corey, I imagine you've written all these down. I'm writing these all down just for my own benefit.
Well, I exported all of your lists, so I'm gonna have them up in front of me. But we're gonna go and we're just gonna pull up a blank list.
Okay.
So that's what you guys should be seeing about now, if I'm not mistaken.
There it is.
Yeah.
There it is. All right. So, like I said, we're gonna go through the list. I'll introduce the villain, and I'll let you guys know where we all stood on it and if we agreed. All right. So first up on our list is Man-Bat. John, you had Man-Bat listed in your D tier.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan, you had Man-Bat listed in your D tier.
Great.
And
minds.
Did I?
You did. That's what I have him showing up as, bud.
Oh, I did. Yeah.
I think you changed it at one point.
I did change it. It was in C, and I changed it to D because he was dog shit.
Yeah.
D for dog shit.
There you go. When I made it, I put him in C tier. And I think just because I remembered a lot of I remember the episode of the animated series where they introduced him sticking to me. But it's like, I am thinking about it now. And in the Gotham Knights video game, you don't even really get introduced to Man-Bat because he's dead in the first 10 minutes of the game.
D for dead.
D for dead. So a little anticlimactic, but I will go ahead and agree with you that Man-Bat belongs firmly in D tier.
But on your list, you keeping him on C?
I had him on C on mine. So this is the Smark Avengers list. This is not my list, not your list, not John's list. This is our combined.
But what I mean is, I've written a list of me, and I'm keeping track of John's list and your list. So you can keep a track of the Smark Avengers list. I want to keep a track of what we all want, what we all think.
Perfect.
Individually.
So so I had him on C, but in the Smark Avengers list, I have no problem with putting him down to D.
I didn't think that one was going to be a big controversial.
Not really. All right, next up, we have Killer Moth. John, you had Killer Moth listed in your F tier.
Oh, yeah.
Dylan, you had Killer Moth listed in your F tier.
No.
You had him in E?
I had him in E tier.
All right, you had him in E tier. But
he was the only one I had in E tier.
All right. Well, we don't have one officially, so we'll bump him down to F.
I'm not going to argue.
And I have him also listed in my F tier. So we all firmly agree that Killer Moth belongs in the F tier.
Although if there was an E tier, he would go in that.
All right. Speaking of killers, we have Killer Croc. So, John, you had Killer Croc listed in your B tier.
Oh.
Dylan, you had Killer Croc listed in your B tier.
Fact.
And I had Killer Croc also listed in my B tier. So we all agreed Killer Croc in the B area.
I think that's been a successful tiering ranking system. I think we could just call it a day here. We're all on the same page. No need to delve any further.
Nope. All right. So next up is Ra's al Ghul. John, you have Ra's al Ghul listed in B tier. Dylan, you have Ra's al Ghul listed in A tier.
Yes.
And I have Ra's al Ghul listed in A tier as well. So John, you're the odd man out.
I mean, I could kind of see why he'd be ranked in the A tier.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been around for centuries. He knows Batman's identity. He has an entire army of people fighting for him.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a big car.
Yeah, I'm sure he has a big car.
Yeah. I mean, I will happily bow to you guys and have him go in the A tier.
Okay. So Ra's al Ghul going up to A tier. All right. Next up, we have Bane. John, you have Bane listed in the A tier. Dylan, you have Bane listed in the A tier. And I have Bane listed in the S tier.
Oh.
So I stand out on that one. My argument for Bane being an S tier is simply put, the guy who broke Batman put Batman out of commission for a year. Not many other villains have been able to do that.
Yeah, but what's he done recently, though?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, that's... He did kill. I mean, he did kill. He did kill Alfred, which has had a long running, consequence in the comic.
Yeah, but Alfred's an old man, though.
But it's been 5 years, and
we had an argument about this, Corey. It's not a big deal to kill an old man.
Is he an old man?
Alfred?
I mean, he's got to be pretty old.
I mean, yeah, theoretically. But like I said, I put him in S tier for the simple fact that, like you said, he did something other people can't do, and he took Batman off the board for a period of time.
Okay. I mean, I think there's, like I said, remember, John, I don't know how you did it, but whenever I was doing it, I was ranking them like pro wrestler. So, like, you got your main eventers, you got your upper mid carders.
Mm-hmm.
Bane's like your upper mid carder. He could slip into the main event every so often, but he's a reliable, safe hand. That's why he's like A tier, because he's like, bam, right? That's the bracket for him.
He's the guy who won the world title like 10 years ago, but he hasn't, won it since then.
Yeah. I'm just saying that, like, you're making it sound like he's a guy who could main event a Backlash, and I'm telling you, I think he could probably do Survivor Series.
Well, I could say Survivor Series, sure, but not a WrestleMania.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. And for me, then I will contend to putting him in A then. If you're because I will say that I think he's a bigger deal than, like, he's certainly a bigger deal than like a Killer Croc.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But I would put him on, I would put him above Ra's al Ghul.
That's why you should have had Ra's al Ghul in B.
Got you there.
Yeah, it certainly does. I mean, I will yield to that. I think S tier should be for like a very limited few, and I think that looking at my list and yours, I think I had more people in S tier than you guys did.
Yeah, I didn't have that many, did I?
You had 4.
At 4. Technically,
I only had 3.
Dylan, John only had 3. I had 4, and you had 4, Dylan.
Technically, I had 3.
My 4 are different. Yes, you have 3. Spoiler for later. All right. So next up, we have Catwoman. John, you have Catwoman ranked as A tier. Dylan, you have Catwoman ranked as A tier. And I have Catwoman
really good at this.
Yeah.
And I also have Catwoman ranked at A tier.
Good.
Boom.
So Catwoman in A tier.
Easy. So far, me and John have like agreed on like most of it.
Yeah. All but one.
And then nobody cares about that one anyway, so it's fine.
All right. So next up is one I know that is going to cause some disagreements, is Deadshot. So, okay. John, you have Deadshot ranked in your C tier.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan, you have Deadshot ranked in your D tier. Mm. And I have Deadshot ranked in C tier as well. So, Dylan, you're the odd man out on this one.
Yeah.
So, what is it going to take for me and John to convince you that Deadshot is better than who do we have better than Man-Bat?
Not a whole lot, honestly.
Really?
Wait, did you not have Man-Bat in C?
No, we agreed that Man-Bat was going in D.
No, Corey, did you not vote for Man-Bat in C?
I did, but I yielded and put him down.
So you said Deadshot was C as well. So you're saying Man-Bat and Deadshot are on the same level.
Yes, but we've disagreed, and I've yielded that I think that Man-Bat's not as impressive as I originally thought he was.
But you still put him in C in your list.
Yeah.
So you still think that deep down.
That Man-Bat's more impressive than...
Equally as impressive.
No, I put it. I yielded and said I can understand where you would look at Man-Bat and go, he's not that important. I mean, he's just a giant feral Batman, essentially.
Yeah.
But I do think that Deadshot, in comparison, is a much more important villain because of his legacy as a member of the Suicide Squad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I haven't seen the Suicide Squad, and you guys have. So, honestly, I don't care enough about Deadshot to put him anywhere. You can put him in C. That's fine.
Okay.
You can make an argument if you want. I'll pretend to listen to it.
Sure. All right, well, we'll go ahead and just put him in C tier then.
Not even going to make the argument. See, that's why he's not interesting.
Because you gave up. You gave up. You're the one who said...
You couldn't even be bothered to fight for him.
You're the one who gave up. I shouldn't have to... That would be like, Dylan, if you curled up in the fetal position and I just kept hitting you in the face over and over again, what does that do for me? Break my hand.
I give up because I don't care about Deadshot, and you give up because you don't care about Deadshot either.
No, I gave up because I don't care about Man-Bat.
I think you don't care about both of them, really.
No, I do like Deadshot. I just don't think he's a B tier. He's higher than C tier.
It could be lower than C tier.
I don't think he is, though, lower than C tier.
I don't care enough to argue this. I have to see my arguments for later.
Yeah, it's coming. All right, next up, we have Deathstroke the Terminator. John, you have Deathstroke listed in B tier. Mm-hmm. Dylan, you have Deathstroke listed in C tier. And I have Deathstroke listed in B tier as well. So this is another area where we disagree with Dylan. Mm-hmm. So I will ask you again, Dylan, what is it about Deathstroke that you believe puts him on the same level as on your C tier list? You have, well, I don't want to say their names, but that would be spoiler, but less than Killer Croc, but higher than Man-Bat. Like, what is it about Deathstroke to you is not equal tier with Killer Croc?
A lot of my list was based on, like, if I'd heard of them. Mm-hmm. That was a big thing. I know Killer Croc was in the TV show. He was a big deal. I've seen him in the comics. Like, I know Killer Croc is a thing. And some of the other guys on the list that I had Deathstroke on, I had heard of as well. So I kind of ranked Deathstroke with them in that I've heard of them, but I didn't think that, like, they had potential, but they were never like bam bam, like, you know. But again, you know, the divisions could easily step up into the other tier above.
Sure.
That's the thing. What happened with a lot of my tiering system was that a lot of the people would be able to logically slide into the tier above them. Very few of them were like sliding down into the one below it. Mm-hmm. It was normally ranking like, this guy's good, could be great. You know what I mean? Like, could get a little bit better. Very few of them were like, this guy sucks, but also could easily suck more. There's very, very little of that, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, I could, you know, I put him in C, but, like, I could see him being in B, no problem.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I put him in B from reputation alone. Like I said, mm-hmm. Deathstroke is the premier assassin of the DC universe. Yeah. Additionally, if we're going to use like the animated series kind of argument, I mean, he was the big bad of the Teen Titans cartoon its entire run.
I didn't see it.
That's fair. You should check it out.
Got rid for like 7 TV shows.
There you go. John, is there anything you want to remark on Deathstroke?
No, just I had the exact same sort of mindset as you, that he's basically the like premier assassin in the DC universe, so that's got to work in his favor somehow, surely.
So, Dylan, are you comfortable with us putting him in B tier?
Sure.
Okay.
Worked away.
All right. So next up, we have the Scarecrow. John, Scarecrow is B tier for you. Dylan, you put Scarecrow in B tier, and I put Scarecrow in B tier. So we're all in agreement that's where Scarecrow belongs.
We talked about Irish actors a lot.
We did. We did talk about Irish actors a lot. Because then we had that moment where we kind of like thought that we forgot where Ewan McGregor fell. We're like, wait a minute, is he?
Because the name is like kind of, and he's got an accent, so it could be. He's Scottish, though. He's Scottish.
He's Scottish,
yes.
Right?
Yes.
He is, yes.
So next up, we have Firefly. So, John, you put Firefly in the D tier. Dylan, you put Firefly in your F tier.
Oh.
And I put him in the F tier as well. I will also point out, Dylan had the most characters in F tier.
Did I?
Yes, you had the most characters in F tier.
Okay, yeah.
So, just kind of a spoiler, the only character John had in F tier was Killer Moth.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So...
Silly.
So, John, you're the odd person out. What is it about Firefly that you think makes him better than Killer Moth?
He shoots fire.
I mean, true.
Yeah, they're basically not that far away from each other in terms of like gimmicks, but the fact that he could, like, you know, shoot fire, and he had a bit of a gimmick to him as well with the pyromaniac stuff. Yeah. Made him slightly more interesting, I thought, than Killer Moth.
Killer Moth is a gimmick. He's a moth, but it also kills. That's a gimmick.
Yeah, but moths moths aren't exactly the most like threatening
scary.
of animals, are they?
People are
Fireflies
really
are?
scared of moths. They really are, man. People are scared of moths.
I mean, Killer
guess.
Moth's portrayal since forever has always been that he's a loser.
Yeah. He's a killer, though.
Yeah. He also
Killer
got beat
loser.
by a shoe.
I mean, all I'm hearing is we were right to put Killer Moth in
We
the
are.
F tier.
So like I said, you have Firefly in your D tier. Dylan and I have him both in F tier, and it's just because if my argument with Mr. Freeze is he's one dimensional, then Killer Moth is absolutely, if there was like a 0.5 dimensional, that would be Killer Moth. Or not Killer Moth, but Firefly.
Mhm.
Like I said, he's a pyromaniac. If they had ever released that Batgirl movie with Brendan Fraser playing Firefly, maybe he would have brought something to the role that would have made me reconsider, like, oh, maybe there's more to Firefly than just, pyromaniac. But sadly, that will not be the case.
So, can't even use that as an argument. Can't even film your way out of this one, John.
Well, I'm not gonna die on a hill for Firefly, so
nobody cares.
yeah.
Nobody. But that's why we put him in F tier, because like fuck it, nobody cares.
True. All right. Up next is everyone's favorite pervert, the Mad Hatter. John.
Don't describe him like that.
So, John, you had Mad Hatter listed in your C tier. Dylan, you had Mad Hatter listed in your F tier. And
Whoa.
I had Mad Hatter listed in my D tier. So this is the first that we all three have been in very different places when it comes to the Mad Hatter.
Yeah.
So John, you had him ranked the highest.
Mm-hmm.
And Dylan, you had him ranked the lowest.
Correct. We were very quick with this one, I think.
You did not waste a lot of time. You're
this
like,
one
Mad
was
Hatter.
real quick.
Yeah, I think once I talked to her, like, yeah, he's like has the he has like the brainwashing technology, and he's obsessed with blondes named Alice, and sometimes the writers have Alice as a child.
He's a weird old pedophile. I'm like, well, I think that
goes.
Would I put a weird old pedophile on the same level as Deadshot? I'm like, he's a fucking weird old pedophile. Stick him as far down as you can put him.
Now, I do think Mad Hatter has a little bit more to him than that. But
redeeming qualities that would redeem him as opposed to being a weird old pedophile. Yeah, he's a weird old pedophile, but he's really good at jigsaws.
No, I just think the Alice in Wonderland gimmick opens up possibility for other stories. I think he had like Tweedledee and Tweedledum as
But that's such
henchmen.
An old trope, though, don't you think?
Well, yeah, he's an old character.
Right, but like that's been done. Like that's boring.
I guess you could say, it's not very original as well, but it's basically taking a character that was written in like a completely different like novel or whatever, and then
just do it again. But then they thought, oh, I know how we'll put a spin on him. We'll make a fucking pedophile. Well, that'll do it. That'll do it. B tier, like come on, man.
So Dylan, are you trying to make the argument that in the official Smark Avengers tier list, Mad Hatter should be in the F tier?
Yes. Are you happy to vote for a pedophile, like to go high on the list?
Good grief.
Think about your actions here, boys. This is going on the internet.
This is the poison pill argument that Dylan's thrown out.
Because then you go like, yeah, he was a pedophile, but he'd give money to charity. I'm like, okay,
you keep saying redeeming qualities. We're not talking about redeeming qualities. We're talking about story potential.
Do you think? Okay, is it a good story to see Batman beating up a pedophile?
Yes, always.
Yes,
does he have?
Absolutely.
Does that pedophile have to be the Mad Hatter, or could he just be beating up any random old pedophile?
I mean, you're not necessarily wrong, but sometimes it's fun to beat up a pedophile with a giant top hat,
Oh, is that what makes a difference? Is it? I'm just saying, guys, if that's earlier we were like, this isn't the hill. We're not going to die on the Killer Moth hill, etc., etc. If this is the hill you guys want to die on, I already know which one I'm dying on. Not this.
Yeah,
one.
You're saving it. So John, you had him ranked in C tier.
Yeah, defend that.
Are you lowering it?
I'm happy to go down to D tier.
I would keep him at D tier. I think he's more of a threat than Killer Moth or Firefly because of the whole
100%.
brainwashing. The brainwashing aspect of it, getting people to fight for him, that kind of deal.
Okay.
And putting him in D tier is not condoning his pedophilia or whatever.
Which again, it depends on the writer. Sometimes,
Yeah.
like in the animated series, Alice was a woman that was around his age because I think he was a younger man in the animated series.
Listen, it's 2 against 1, and I think because there's 3 of us, it's very easy to like do like the numbers game on a lot of
Sure.
these things, right?
Yeah.
So like logistically, if you guys want to put him in D tier, I'm not gonna argue that much.
Okay.
I just wanted on record that I was very vocal about him being an F tier, and you both argued to make him above that. Okay, that's on record.
I just think in the scale of things, I think he's more of a threat than Firefly and Killer Moth.
I feel like my opposition to this has been well known, very clear.
It is documented.
Yes, do whatever you want.
Okay.
Out of my hands.
All right. Well, we will move on from Mad Hatter and we will move to Hush. Hush, on John's list, you had him ranked in C tier. Dylan, you have him also in C tier. And I have him in B tier. I think B tier was the list that was the area I had the most people in.
Yeah, it looks like it.
But when it comes to Hush, I think my argument for having him that is that it's another one of those situations. I think if your character knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, I think that should bump you up a little bit because it makes the threat a little bit more real. But I also will contend that Hush is one of those one storyline guys because, you know, aside from the first Hush story, because we talked about that, Dylan, in your ranking list. You know, was he done since Hush? And it's like, well, he posed as Bruce Wayne when Bruce was dead for a while, but not really. But he's going to be a big deal in Hush 2, and you lost it because you were like, yep, that says a lot when your next big storyline is just the sequel to the first one.
Yeah.
That hasn't come out yet.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's either this week or next week that it comes out.
Well, as whenever this episode goes out.
It will have been out for about 2-3 weeks at that point.
Okay, but whenever we were recording the episodes,
yes,
like
it has not come out yet.
And it could be spectacular.
Yeah,
we might have to redo the list just
at a later date.
Yeah, but at the time we were like, it's, you know, I mean, he's good. He's one of those guys that I heard of and you knew he'd done stuff.
Yeah.
But like I couldn't justify like putting him into like a serious like Intercontinental Championship contendership because he needs to establish himself more.
Gets more wins under his belt.
Exactly. But no, proper wins.
Yeah.
Anybody can get wins under the belt. He needs to beat the right people.
Sometimes you're just a guy in a giant evil turkey suit racking up wins, and they don't matter because they're not real ones, you know?
Sometimes you're just a big pedophile in the top hat.
Yep. Sometimes you're in C tier right beside Deadshot. So we are at the halfway mark here. So far, we have no one in S tier. In A tier, we have Ra's al Ghul, Bane, and Catwoman. In B tier, we have Killer Croc, Deathstroke, and Scarecrow. C tier, we have Deadshot and Hush. D tier, Man-Bat and Mad Hatter. F tier, Firefly and Killer Moth. Are we good with that? Anybody want to revisit any of these before we move forward? Comments that you want to make?
I think I've made all my comments.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Okay. All right, so next up we have Harley Quinn. So this one, we preface this one a lot, that this was kind of a weird one to do because she's not really portrayed as a villain anymore. In an online comic, she's portrayed as somebody with a gas problem, it seems. But Harley Quinn, on John's list, you have her in B tier. Dylan, you have Harley Quinn in A tier. And I have Harley listed in B tier as well. I think my reasoning for that is just simply the fact that during her villain heyday, more known as a sidekick to the Joker, and more known as an anti-hero now for the most part. But Dylan, any thoughts on why you had her in A tier? Are you open to revisiting that?
So I based mine a lot based, like I said, it was kind of like the big name, like, you know, who have you heard of? Dude, Harley Quinn was everywhere.
Yeah, still is for the most part.
Ever since she came in, she has been super popular. She's always been like a focal point of the Batman cartoon series, so much that they brought her into the comics. Kevin Smith named his fucking kid after Harley Quinn.
Yep.
There was a point where, for like years, not just once, years, when you went to a Comic-Con, everybody was dressed like Harley Quinn, men and women. Everybody was dressed like Harley Quinn. It was a really like big iconic thing. She was so popular, and I would say still is very popular.
Yeah.
But because I said Catwoman. I think, what did I say? Catwoman was A.
Yes,
I said Catwoman was A because
because
she was like incredibly popular and a really good like strong female character. I think that Harley Quinn became, at first she was a sidekick. They evolved her because of how obscenely popular she was into less of a sidekick and more of a herself, her own kind of character. Even getting out of like being a full villain, she became like an anti-hero, an anti-villain, or whatever. Like she was so popular that I like, if you pro wrestling terms, if she's that popular, you can't ignore that. You gotta let her win the Royal Rumble. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even if she's not that great of a wrestler, she's crazy popular with everybody. Everybody knows Harley Quinn. If you were showing people like pictures of well, that was my rationale, is like the pro wrestling business, right? If you're just talking about pure, like, because the problem with Harley Quinn, like we said, was because she's not a full. The other ones you can rank on their villainous nature, but because Harley Quinn's a little bit like, I think we equated it to the Black Cat in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Black Cat, incredibly popular. Although Harley Quinn, I would argue, is more popular than the Black Cat.
I wouldn't. That's not even an argument. That's just a fact.
Black Cat, like a very popular, very iconic kind of character. Bit of an anti-hero, not always on Spider-Man's side, but still, like, you would rank her pretty high up, I think, if you were just ranking them. Yeah, she's not maybe as villainous as everybody else, but she's still kind of a villain. And because everybody knows her, I'm like, I would put her pretty high up. Same with Harley Quinn. She's not strictly a villain anymore, but she's done a lot of villainous things, and she could probably do it again. And I think that she has the capability. She's been by the Joker's side by so long. She knows a lot of evil stuff. She has the capability. She's the potential to get it. I would say A tier is justified.
Well, I would definitely not rank Black Cat high on the list of Spider-Man villains.
We'll wait till we do that episode.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Spider-Man villains, because I'd be in the position of you guys of this one going, I don't really know a ton of this stuff, so bear with me. It sounds almost like you were talking about Jey Uso for a hot minute. Yeah, not the analogy, best ring, but I still kind of go back to like her effectiveness as a villain. If you guys were more familiar with the Punchline character and she was on the list, I mean, Punchline makes Harley look like a joke because Punchline's a sociopath. Like, Harley has always been like cute and bubbly and silly, and again, she was more of like the Joker's sidekick. Whereas like when they introduced Punchline and we're writing her, it's like, oh, this is like if Harley Quinn was competent and like actually dedicated to the idea of killing people. So like that's kind of like the same avenue of like, she's not in that same realm of like a Ra's al Ghul or a Bane in accomplishments. And like, yeah, Catwoman's also like, she's kind of just there for the heritage aspect of being a long running villain. Mm-hmm. Like she was one of the first going back to the 1940s, whereas Harley's only been around since like what, 92?
Yeah.
So, and like you said, she's been on the side of angels really since, God, 2010.
Okay.
Because even then, like, she's been riding that line when they brought her over into the New 52 and they made her a member of Suicide Squad and broke her away from Joker full time. But yeah, I just don't see her as effective as a Bane or a Ra's al Ghul or a Catwoman.
Agreed.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy to like, because I could see your argument. Like, if we're going like pure villainous, like intent and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, honestly, that same argument should apply to Catwoman. It's just Catwoman's been around since the 1940s.
Yeah,
and exactly. She's got history with Batman that kind of like personal history as well, which makes it more of a, I guess, like, personal sort of enemy to Batman when she does turn evil.
Mm-hmm. It's again that aspect of like she knows who he is that automatically gives you points, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So next up, I know will be interesting. We have the Joker. So, John, you have the Joker in your S tier. I have the Joker in my S tier. Dylan's is a little more complicated. Dylan, do you want to go ahead and tell John how you rank Joker?
I originally put Janker.
The Jenka.
I put him in F tier, but then I knew everybody would get angry at me, so I put him in S tier, but with a caveat that Corey had to put brackets and say Hulk Hogan, close brackets. Okay.
Yep.
Because again, I was going from a very like pro wrestling standpoint. I'm like, yes, of course, the Joker is the most popular villain. Everybody's heard of the Joker. I like a lot of the incarnations of the Joker. Film wise, I like Jack Nicholson. I like Heath Ledger.
Love Jared Leto.
Jared Leto, I realized was one of the guys
you
I
loved
hated.
You loved Barry Krogan in that deleted scene.
The problem was I couldn't understand what he was saying. That was a bother for me. But I loved Mark Hamill. John DiMaggio played the Joker as well. Great stuff, right? But in the comics, I just don't like the character. I think he's really Liam. I think he's just such a Liam, boring. He's just a clown. I don't like him, right? So then I equated him to like Hulk Hogan because Hulk Hogan, everybody in the world knows that Hulk Hogan is a wrestler. And if you ask anybody who's a wrestler, they're going to say Hulk Hogan. If you ask anybody who's a Batman villain, they're going to say Joker. Does that mean he's the best? No. It means he's the most well-known.
I mean, he's the first.
That doesn't mean he's the best. Just because he was there and everybody knows him doesn't mean he's the best one at it. And, as we've seen with Hulk Hogan, he has turned into not the best kind of character. And I feel like when you look at the Joker, a lot of the stuff that you see with the Joker in modern, not even modern storylines, it's been going on for a while. And so but especially more in since the fucking Joker film came out with Joaquin Phoenix, is that he's become this weird, like, edgelord, like this horrible, like not a fun character. He's just this awful, just not a fun guy to read. And people think he's cool and edgy, but he's not. He's just this, just not interesting, awful, stupid character that they keep trying to like one up. Like, the Joker is the crazy criminal mastermind. Oh, you'd never be able to play the Joker. I mean, he's a fucking clown. I don't get people's obsession with the Joker. I don't like it. Now let's be fair here. Let's be totally fair. Put them in F tier is probably really harsh of me, right?
Yeah.
And I understand why people will put him in S tier. And listen, I already know how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
I know we're all gonna put him in S tier, right?
Yeah.
Because part of the Hulk Hogan thing, you have to put him in S tier. I'm shackled. I have no choice but to put him in S tier. But I want it known on record, and this is twice now, that I don't like it.
Yes.
So here's the thing. You can argue it. I don't even need to hear the arguments. I already know Joker, blah, 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 legacy. He's been around forever. He killed Robin. He's done all the other shit that he's done, right? Yada, yada, yada. Jared Leto. We all know this. Let's just put him in S tier and fucking forget about it. I mean, if anybody wants to argue with me, fine. We can waste another 15 minutes arguing, and then we'll just come to the same conclusion anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if anything, it should just be statement of the facts. Yes, he was the very first Batman villain in the very first issue of the storylines. He killed a Robin. He paralyzed Batgirl. I mean, his accomplishments as a Batman villain, nobody has come close to. If Bane gets points because Bane took Batman out of commission, Joker is the one who basically wrecked Bruce's life by, causing irreparable harm to several people.
I think if you asked Batman himself who his worst villain was, he would say it was Joker anyway. So, like,
right, but we can't because he's not real.
Well, no shit, but like, I'm sure he said it in the comics at some point that Joker is his worst villain. So, if Batman says it, then it must be true.
Much like how the natural enemy of spiders is goblins, so it is that bats are clowns.
Mm-hmm.
Even that. Well, we'll save that for the Spider-Man one.
We'll save that for the Spider-Man episode. So up next,
So we're
Dylan.
just leaving them in. Yeah, we have to put them in S tier.
Yeah, there's really no other. Yeah, it's just
know.
that one we can't really debate.
Part of
It's
it was, let's be honest, it would be fun to read the comments,
Yeah.
wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be interesting to say the least.
That's
of
how
like,
you get. People are always like, you got to get engagement with people. I'll tell you, get engagement with people. Tell the comic book industry that the Joker sucks ass and is on the same level as a pedophile.
All right. Well, let's move on to Hugo Strange. John, you have Hugo Strange in your C tier. Dylan, you have him in your D tier, and I have Hugo Strange in my B tier. So that again, we are spread. Yeah, we have him spread across the board. Again, I always give points if you know that Bruce Wayne is Batman.
Yeah, you're too liberal with your points here, dude.
Yeah.
Listen, and again, it's because Hugo Strange is one of the few characters who've been able to get into his head in a very real way. He's not the Joker in the sense of like, I'm going to cause a bunch of chaos and light shit on fire. He like fucked with him psychologically to the point that he thought he killed Hugo Strange, and for a year was seeing the ghost of Hugo Strange when it was just Hugo Strange the whole time.
But I don't
Just
think
fucking
that's
with him.
good. It's like you think you killed him, but you didn't. So I'm like, isn't it likely that it's just him?
Well, I mean, he's just fucking with him, psychologically. Batman is not a psychologically sound character. We know this.
Wow.
Now, I have no problem going down to a C tier, but I know that somebody has him listed lower than that.
Yeah, well, dude, I don't care enough about Hugo Strange to put him in. If you want to put him in C tier, that's fine. I don't think he's a B tier. I think C or D is probably accurate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think he's B tier. But then
So it's
I don't know
essentially like, are we trying to say that Hugo Strange is on the same level as Hush and Deadshot, or Man Bat and Mad Hatter?
I mean,
Really
he's
just-
definitely above Man Bat.
Okay.
So
Yeah. So I
C.
guess C. Well, I didn't. Obviously, I didn't put Mad Hatter in my D list, so I wouldn't. I would obviously put him ahead of Mad Hatter. So.
All right. Our next group on the list, I say group, it is the Court of Owls / Talon, the assassin for the Court of Owls. John, you have the Court of Owls ranked in B tier. Dylan, you have the Court of Owls ranked in B tier, and I have the Court of Owls ranked in A tier.
Ooh.
I think because of that potential storyline aspect of it, there are so many members of them. They are old money. They have their hands in tons of pockets. I just think there's a lot more potential with the Court of Owls, even though I think as great as the opening storyline for them was, I think they had a really weak ending.
Yeah.
Oh, they've had an ending, like a definitive ending now, have they?
No. They're still around. They're still active.
Oh, okay.
I just meant the
storyline.
original. The storyline that introduced the Court of Owls that Scott Snyder put out. He had a really weak ending, which
Okay.
I've been on the record multiple times saying Scott Snyder not Scott Snyder.
We have Scott Steiner.
Yep, Scott Steiner.
We have talked about this about how he starts
Great
to,
ideas. Yeah.
Terrible finish.
Can't
WCW.
get the finish right. Yep.
Good start, terrible finish.
A lot of run-ins.
Just makes no sense.
Scott Steiner, Scott Hall hits somebody with a taser.
Mm-hmm. The guy catches the belt and he's the champion now. You're like, all right.
All right, sure.
Yeah. Good enough for me.
All right, so I obviously disagree with you guys on the Court of Owls.
Okay.
Like you said, my argument is just that I think that there's a lot of potential there because, for all intents and purposes, not one person. The Court of Owls, I think they established in the Future's End storyline, which is a universe that takes place years in the future. The Court of Owls are still very active and still very powerful. So they've been around for a long time, and they can continue for a long time because there's not one leader. It is quite literally a group of Gotham's elite.
Okay.
Are we ranking this on potential or for what they've actually done?
That's what I was about to say, because I'm like, if you're talking about potential, then that means C tier is perfect for them, or B tier is perfect for them because they have the potential to get into A tier.
Mm-hmm.
They're not there yet. They can do it, but they haven't done it. The potential's there.
Yep.
They haven't done it yet. They could do it. Haven't done it yet. You know what I mean? It's good storyline, good world building, sure, you know.
It's good world building, but yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they've accomplished enough yet to be in A tier.
Do they know who Batman is?
No, I do not. So yeah, no, you're right.
There it is.
I will give you that.
Gotta follow your own rules.
The court and the B. So yeah, no.
I think was B tier like our most. No, B tier is you two had the most popular people.
Yeah, I had the most people in B tier, and
I think you had the most people in A tier. Did I or D tier?
Yours was a tie actually between A, D, and F. John, yours was a tie between B, C, and D.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
All right. So next up, we have the Penguin. John, you have the Penguin listed in your A tier or your S tier.
Yes.
Dylan, you have him in your S tier, and I have Penguin listed in my B tier.
Oh, get the fuck out of here!
Yep,
B tier.
B tier.
All right, this. We're gonna have to fight about this.
Yeah,
I think we might have to in that sense. I just do not see the Penguin. I see him on the same level as Scarecrow. I think you guys see him in the Danny DeVito role, but as you know, as a person who has read a lot of Batman comics, Penguin is kind of a joke. He's kind of cowardly. He's a guy that, you know, most of the time he hides behind the fact that you can't fuck with him in the Iceberg Lounge because hasn't been caught doing anything wrong yet. Like I think the Colin Farrell version of Penguin is the most accurate version of Penguin in that he's kind of a middle tier guy.
Middle tier.
Yeah, I think he's middle tier.
You better watch yourself, kid.
Like I said, I know you guys really have a love for the Danny DeVito portrayal, but like circus freak Penguin is not comic book Penguin.
Okay, but if you were just ranking the Danny DeVito Penguin.
I mean, if it was Danny DeVito Penguin, I'd probably put him a little higher. He accomplished a bit more than comic book Penguin ever has. The biggest thing that comic book Penguin has done recent years is faking his death and blaming it, and it being blamed on Batman, which kickstart the whole failsafe storyline.
Okay, well that sounds like a big storyline.
But the storyline aspect was Penguin faked his death and hid out running a flower shop in Metropolis while all this other shit was going on.
So he outsmarted everybody.
Yes, until he got bored of being in a flower shop in Metropolis and I think had to come back because his children were running the Iceberg Lounge.
Also, he's a very distinctive looking person. Like, how was he disguising himself?
I think it's Metropolis. It's just like nobody expects any Batman villain to just be in Metropolis.
Everybody's a freak in Metropolis.
Seen
some of those guys?
He's a freak with a PH. He's a freak in the Scott Steiner sense.
And also with an F.
And an F.
You know, I mean, right. So, John, you rank Penguin pretty high. I rank Penguin pretty high.
You both ranked him very high. That's not pretty high.
Right.
You'd see your highest tier.
To me, he's like one of those, and he's one of the most quintessential Batman villains. When you think about Batman, there's like 4 or 5 people you think of.
Yes.
Sure.
And I think that, reluctantly, I have to say the Joker, but realistically, I think Penguin's on the list. And you could say, yeah, he's in the films, whatever. But there's a reason he's been used in all these media, like a lot. It's because he's a good character. There's stuff you can do with him. And we have told different stories with him. And you can say that, film Penguin's not the same as comics Penguin. Isn't that cool that they have different versions of this Penguin? And they call the Farrell one's a different Penguin? Like,
they have that for every fucking character. What are you talking about?
Oh, do they? Is Mad Hatter not a pedophile in all the media? No, he is a pedophile.
I was about to say, like several other characters have had various different depictions and style. But what I'm saying is, if we're going to use your wrestling analogy, comic book Penguin is the Miz. You put the title on it, but nobody's buying him as the champion. You know, that's just a simple fact matter.
No,
he's a good hand that's going to get you some heat every now and then, but he's not S tier.
No. That's not correct, because if he wasn't,
correct.
He wouldn't have been the main villain in a fucking Batman film.
He was the main villain in the Batman film written by the goth guy, and he turned his entire characterization to like, oh, he's a little underground freak living with a bunch of weirdo clowns.
He was the main event villain in the
Penguin's,
best Batman film. He's not the Miz because he can prove that he can carry his own film.
He changed his characterization completely for the most part.
That
Penguin is low level.
Which is something that the Miz could never do. Your problem was you made the analogy that he was a Miz. That was a mistake on your part.
The Miz was in the most Marine films, more than Cena and more than Randy Orton was ever in WWE films.
Congratulations.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's not that big a deal, is it?
You think that Batman Returns is the same as being in 4 Marine films?
Yes, I think so. It's a Tim Burton film at the end of the day. That's like, Tim Burton always picks the fucking weirdo characters, and when he can't get the weirdo characters, he takes regular characters and makes them weirdos. Catwoman is nothing like Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman is great, but she's not comic book Catwoman. Catwoman is not some character who, yeah. What I'm saying is, like, it's not the same. It's, you took a depiction and you just completely altered a comic book character to fit it. So, but like,
he's been a main character in he's still a main character in the comics. He's been a main character in every single TV show.
Penguin shows up, like, Penguin is a side character at best that turns up with, we got to get some information. Penguin's still not in jail because he's hiding behind the Iceberg Lounge being an illegitimate business. Go threaten him, Robin, and get some info. And then that's what happens, and he moves on. Penguin is not a... Yes.
Who would you equate the Penguin to in terms of Spider-Man villains then?
Well, see, I can't do that because I don't know Spider-Man villains as well.
You're gonna have to soon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. Boy, that's gonna be a weird list for you guys to have to deal with.
Oh, it's gonna be an easy list for us to deal with.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is listening to me talk about it is gonna be weird for you. I mean, like I said, I would put him like. And I just, again, I don't know the characters that well, aside from like a depiction in the cartoon. Maybe the Chameleon.
But I would rank the Chameleon pretty high, though.
See, but I don't know the Chameleon. I know like one episode.
Would you rank the Chameleon pretty high?
No, I think he'd sort of be mid-table.
Can I just say, for the record, what was it? Corey was like, oh, the first ever Batman villain was the Joker. Who was the first ever Spider-Man villain?
I don't know.
Well, it's the Chameleon.
It was a Chameleon.
Okay, see, I didn't know.
But I would say the Penguin is more iconic than the Chameleon.
Well, you know what I'm going to say? Penguin is S tier. That's it.
Well, I don't know. I think Corey's swayed me a little bit in
I
his
could go
reasoning.
up to A.
Yeah,
I could go up to A, but I'm not going to S for Penguin.
I can drop down to A, I think.
Well, I'm not moving from S. So you guys can bitch and moan all you want, but again, on record,
yes,
this guy said Penguin S tier.
Now, Dylan, could you believe that when you were putting this up and you were going, oh, people are gonna be disagreeing with stuff, they're gonna be disagreeing with stuff? Did you think it was gonna be the Penguin that we were gonna be the one that's disagreeing the most on?
No, but I also couldn't. I just don't care about the Joker enough to argue with him that much.
All right, well, let's keep on trucking. We got Poison Ivy up next.
I'm still annoyed with this. I don't know if I want to do a show with you anymore.
John, you have Poison Ivy ranked in your A tier. Dylan, you have Poison Ivy ranked in your A tier. And I have Poison Ivy ranked in my B tier.
What's wrong with you? John, you see where me and John are coming from for a lot of these point of views, and you always seem to be like, I'm a little bit critical of this.
You're saying that you can see where John and I are coming from this point of views. You've not made an argument. You just agree on where you are as two people who don't read Batman.
Yeah,
I read
but
Batman.
just we don't even need to hear each other's arguments. We're clearly the same page.
No, you're in the same, like, you're more Marvel-based people.
Yes.
Therefore, you've been more like Poison Ivy people.
Apparently.
What does that mean?
Now, like I said, my argument with Poison Ivy is just a simple fact of accomplishments. I don't see her above some of the other characters like a Scarecrow.
Okay. What has Scarecrow done that Poison Ivy hasn't done?
I mean, Scarecrow took over an entire building that was in downtown Gotham, and he was also like the main villain in Arkham Knight. That the red herring that it was going to be the Arkham Knight as the main villain, but it was actually Scarecrow like pulling strings.
Okay.
But then Poison Ivy was like a big part of Arkham Knight as well, because she ends up like basically taking over the city, like releasing loads of like spores and stuff, which means you can't go down on the ground. And
are you talking about Arkham Asylum or
Arkham Knight?
Okay, because I remember her part being kind of bigger in Arkham Asylum when she gets the Titan.
I mean, she's been having pretty big parts in all those games, really.
I guess. Yeah, I guess my thing is like when you look at the A tier and you see Ra's al Ghul and Bane, I just don't go and Poison Ivy right beside him.
I think her power set kind of puts her pretty high as well.
I mean, it has been souped up lately because they've tied her closer to the elemental green. But again, she's being more of an anti-hero lately.
She's an Omega level mutant now.
Oh, God. Omega level mutants, dear God. Boy, the day that we have to do an X-Men tier.
It would take forever, dude. Just like a million.
Oh boy, it will take a hot minute. I mean, I can go up to A tier, but at the end of the day, if you look at like where Harley Quinn is, and you go like, well, Poison Ivy should be above that. I don't know.
That's why
it's like
Poison
above
Ivy,
Deathstroke the Terminator
the level.
Well, I did too, but they're both a B tier of mine.
And that's your problem. You fucked it up.
That's my problem.
Shouldn't have done that.
This list must be really getting under your skin, Dylan, because there's only one S tier so far, and it's Joker.
Yeah, it should be Penguin.
I disagree.
Well,
me jumping up from B to A is a gift.
A gift.
That's a gift.
Is it?
That's a gift.
I think Poison Ivy is a really cool character.
Yes. I
really like her. I think that I don't know her entire history, but again, a lot of this was going on like how popular they are and how I didn't just know her from the film, but
God bless you. If that was the only way you knew her, that's not great.
But like Poison Ivy is one of those characters that like sticks around.
Yeah, but it's almost like she sticks around despite herself because she didn't really have any like great episodes of the animated series. Like I can't recall, aside actually just from the Arkham games, Poison Ivy having a great outside of comic portrayal.
No, I don't know if she did.
She was kind of forgettable in all the other media she's been introduced in, aside from, the Arkham games.
Mm-hmm. But she's memorable in those, so.
I mean, she is, but also like there weren't as many villains to share the wealth because I mean, like Killer Croc had, and Scarecrow were also very big, memorable parts of those games, and they're both B tier.
That's an interesting point.
Don't waver, Dylan.
I mean, let's be honest here. I haven't so far.
Dylan has been obstinate.
I've been pretty adamant about all my picks and that you guys are all wrong. So if we're doing the numbers game, and I have.
You have yielded on the numbers game before.
I have had to put my hands up and say I can't argue with the numbers game.
Yeah. I mean, I could do the same, but I've also done the same for the Court of Owls. But I saw your point with the Court of Owls. With Poison Ivy, I don't necessarily see your point with putting her in A tier.
Okay, so
I will yield. I will yield to the numbers, but I'm doing this. I'm doing what you did with Joker, and that is making my thoughts known.
Fine, it's perfect. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but that means you still have to put her in A tier.
She's in A tier. Yeah, no, I mean, she's going in.
Put that on the record, everybody. Everybody listen to the show.
I disagree, but she's there.
That's fair enough.
Okay.
I can't wait to see the one that John disagrees on.
I don't know.
Because he folded on the Penguin like real quick.
It wasn't real quick. I had to listen
you were like,
to a lot
Corey, good idea, Corey.
It took some convincing.
All right, next up we have Professor Pig. John, you have Professor Pig ranked in D tier. Dylan, you have Professor Pig ranked in B tier. And I have Professor Pig ranked in D tier as well.
Wow.
Do you have him ranked higher than the two of us?
Yeah. I thought
Why
we were
did
on
you
the
put
same
him in
page with
B
this.
tier?
I thought he was a really cool, interesting villain.
I mean, he's really one note though, isn't he?
He kills people.
Like,
Wearing
he
a pig
mutilates them,
mask?
really.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh,
mutilates them
so
and turns them into
that's one
dolls.
note, but killing people wearing a clown mask is different.
It's not
a
wearing a
mask.
clown mask.
Ah, it's his fucking face. He doesn't even wear a mask. It's his fucking face. Oh, you guys have been hosted by your own petard. A petard hosting. He's a shitty character. We all know it. Joker, not Professor Pig.
Not Professor Pig. No, I mean, Professor Pig has an interesting motivation. He's written to be utterly out of his mind, but I don't necessarily see him higher than a D.
Okay.
Nope.
I thought he was a fun character. I thought
He's
like
a fun character, but
yeah. Well, you know what? I'll like go down
And
to
also-
C. If you guys are willing to go up to C, I'll go down to C.
I mean, Professor Pig also has there have been accusations that Professor Pig could also be construed as a pedophile.
Oh, for fuck's sake! All right. You didn't tell me that last time.
I mean, well, I mean, considering his lollitrons are usually children that are orphans that he mutilates and turns into weirdos.
Also, like you said, this is like this is real late game, like unfounded, not 100% sure about this. This is not set in stone. This is conjecture that you've added in to cause an argument. I want that stricken from the record.
Well, I mean, it's not like exactly press that Mad Hatter's doing that too, but he is also obsessed with the Alices. So are we now? You have him in B. John and I have him in D. Are we going to meet in the middle, or are we going to?
I'm happy to meet in the middle. I'm happy to meet in the middle.
I think we should stick him in D still.
Corey?
Well, I mean, but if I disagree with John, then John's not going to be backing me up later.
Then you won't be best friends anymore because he's been backing you up on everything so far.
No, like I said, I think Pig's interesting, but Pig has been not really well developed since Grant Morrison left.
Right. Okay. Fair enough.
I mean, like I said, I'll always give points for Grant character, but just Pig hasn't been given a lot. And because the nature of the character, I think Pig's only been in I think when Pig was in Arkham Knight and also in Beware the Batman. And they certainly did not get into the creepier aspects of him in the cartoon.
Well, they couldn't. It's a fucking cartoon.
Exactly. They really couldn't. And it's almost that point, like, why did you even put him in then?
That shows the versatility of the character. We can
by ignoring aspects of it.
you can change his character, put him in the cartoon, put him in something else. He's versatile. You can do lots of stuff with him.
I don't know, Dylan. Like I said, I can't justify going up to C from D.
I disagree. I'm happy to go down to C.
Is this going to be just you noting that you disagree with this and because it's a numbers thing?
It looks like it.
Okay.
Well, let's hear what John has to say.
D tier all the way.
Wow, what a surprise that was. See, you guys best friends. I don't like this.
I wish the picture they chose him actually was his face, because it looks just like Hugo Strange has a really tiny body.
Yeah, giant head.
All right, speaking of tiny bodies and giant heads, next up is the ventriloquist. So, John, you have the ventriloquist in your D tier. Dylan, you have him in your F tier. And I have ventriloquist in my D tier as well. Now,
what have you got against the ventriloquist, Dylan?
Yeah.
Ventriloquist.
Can I tell you one of the weirder ventriloquist things is there was a period of time where the old man ventriloquist died, and Scarface went to this smoking hot blonde woman who went as the ventriloquist. I don't know how that fucking works, because it was still Scarface in charge. The idea was that the original ventriloquist was obviously mentally ill and believed that the dummy was alive. How did that get passed on to another person who had the same characterization? Smoking hot blonde woman.
That's why.
Yeah, I'm just like, in comic,
tier.
what's the justification?
There isn't any F tier.
But I mean, look at that's the versatility. The ventriloquist could be an old man or a hot blonde woman.
You've already established the fact that you don't give a shit about versatility because it didn't work on Professor Pig or Penguin. So F tier. Don't even pull that shit on me.
I mean, I don't. Honest to God, I don't really have a lot of skin in the game with the ventriloquist. John, if you're steadfast to keeping him in D, then I think we could talk a little bit further. But I also don't mind dropping him to F.
I mean, I don't mind dropping him to F as well.
Fucking
all right, there we go.
Who cares?
Yeah.
That might have been my quote. I don't remember.
It might have actually been.
Put that on the t-shirt.
That's for sure. Who cares? All right. Next up, we have Jason Todd, the Red Hood. John, you have him in D tier. Dylan, you have him in C tier, and I also had him in C tier as well. I think just based on the fact that he's more of an anti-hero now, if at that, because I mean they've been even pushing him further as not even really being an anti-hero anymore, just a hero that goes a little too hard. But
the thing is, I don't think he's ever really been a villain, though.
He was a villain, right?
Well,
Not
yeah,
really.
he kind of. I mean, well, yeah, he was. He had confrontations with Nightwing, but even then, like it was, if it's like all shades of gray, it was a really dark gray. It was never all black.
It was more like a bratty child, like acting out against his brothers and dad than like outright.
I mean,
villain.
when he came back and he introduced himself to Tim Drake, who replaced him as Robin, he beat the shit out of him in the Titans Tower, completely unprovoked.
Exactly.
So I mean, that's kind of a dick move. Admittedly, my relationship with my brother is very different. So
correct. I do not do that with my brother.
I used to.
My brother's 15 years older than me. That would have been a crime if he did that to me.
That's it?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Or like, are we? Again, I don't have too much skin in the game for keeping Jason Todd in C tier.
But numbers game though, Corey.
Whatever.
That sounds like a numbers game to me.
Yeah, I disagree, but like again,
put on the record.
It's not one I'm gonna.
Not one you're gonna lose sleep over.
No.
All right. Next up, we have Solomon Grundy, the Revenant. John, you have Solomon Grundy listed in your C tier. Dylan, you have him in your D tier. And I have Grundy in my C tier as well. I will be honest with you, I think a lot of that just has to do with the fact that Grundy's power set is, he's essentially incredibly strong. He can't die, so he keeps coming back, and every time he comes back a little bit different. I think it makes him more of a threat, because you never really know what kind of threat you're getting with Grundy.
Okay.
And I can't put him any higher because more often than not, he is just a goon for somebody. Penguin keeps him locked up in the basement of the Iceberg Lounge, or like Batman's in the sewer. That sounds like something cool the
Penguin did.
He's like, Batman's in the sewer for whatever reason, and Grundy's down there too, and like there's just a fight,
I think that's why I ranked him like where I ranked him.
In D?
Yeah, because you're like, yeah, he has the potential to do stuff, but he just seems like one of those mindless kind of goons that just does stuff. I mean, powerful guy, sure, but like he doesn't really like do anything like crazy interesting that would like make people...
on his own.
Yeah,
because I'm looking at our D tier list right now, and it's Man Bat, Mad Hatter, and Professor Pig. I could definitely see Grundy slotting in there.
Yeah, like because if you look at him in C tier, like who else is in C tier?
Bunch of dudes with guns and an evil psychiatrist.
Like, does Solomon Grundy like kind of fit into that gimmick?
He doesn't use guns, and he doesn't have a degree, so
right. Like he's got potential, but like he never really sees through that potential by himself. He's always a kind of like a sidekick or a hired goon or something like that, kind of like a mindless body to do stuff. He's never really like the main focus of a story.
Yeah, I have no problem dropping him to D.
You think, John?
Yeah, I will go along with that as well then.
All right. Next up, we have the Riddler. John, you have the Riddler in your S tier. Dylan, you have the Riddler in your S tier. And I have the Riddler in my S tier. So we are all in agreement that the Riddler is right on par with the Joker.
How did you rank the Riddler higher than the Penguin?
Easily. Riddler has been able to have major plots that are just dedicated to him. Batman Zero Year in the New 52 launch was all Riddler taking over Gotham, essentially. Even now, like, Riddler had set up a coup where he set up his own company that was very close to buying out Wayne Enterprises.
Not there yet.
No, and that's because he got in bed with the Court of Owls, and it didn't go super hot with him.
We've all been in bed with the Court of Owls.
Yeah, true.
And there's like 20 guys in that, so it's a great time.
They all wear masks. It's like a bacchanal.
Yeah, maybe cut this bit out too.
All right, next up we have...
Keep it in. I want people to know.
Yeah, no shame.
Fuck all the Court of Owls. I'm not ashamed of
it. All right, so next up we have Two-Face. John, you have him in your A tier. Dylan, you have him in your S tier, and I also have him in my S tier.
Okay.
So Two-Face, one of the more iconic lines, he's the character that fell from grace. He also very well knows that, Bruce Wayne is Batman, but only half of him knows. Harvey knows, but Two-Face doesn't.
Half a point.
Half a point. So, John, what is keeping Two-Face from going from an A to an S in your book?
Doesn't have clown makeup on. He has clown makeup on.
I thought he was a bit one note, like in terms of his gimmick.
2 notes.
Well,
literally 2 notes.
All he has is like the stuff with Harvey and Two-Face, like fighting for control and the coin flip and stuff. But at the same time, I will concede that he's obviously like one of the more iconic Batman villains.
Right.
So I mean, yeah, he's pretty
I feel
good.
like that's what, again, if you talk about Batman villains, there's like 5 guys or like bam, like big deals. But Two-Face is one of them. But you think about but the way I think about Two-Face isn't just like, I think in the film with Tommy Lee Jones, he was very just coin flippy and murdery. And I think that when you saw him in like further iterations of Batman, he wasn't just there was more to him than just flipping a coin.
Yeah.
You had that duality of man. You had that kind of like good guy, bad guy thing, which I really liked that they did try to like play up more in like the further Batman films. And I would have loved to see like a Christopher Nolan film where like Two-Face was more of a villain. I think he would have done that really well, because I think he would have got that kind of like, the 2 sides of that really, really well. I think he's a villain that like has a lot of like good stuff. I think they've done a lot of good stuff. And again, I haven't read all the comics, but like a lot of the stuff I have seen has been like fun because they do that kind of duality of man and that kind of good guy, bad guy. Like it's easy to appeal to either side of him, which is really interesting, because if you had like Batman and say the Joker both talking to Two-Face at one time, you don't know which side he's going to go for. Like, that is interesting. There's loads of like cool stuff about Two-Face. Plus the coin flip is cool.
Well, I think the thing that I kind of wanted that puts him in S tier for me is he's the character that Batman failed. Ultimately Two-Face, Harvey fell. Like he fell from grace. He was a partner with Commissioner Gordon, especially like Long Halloween illustrated that perfectly.
Yeah.
So like it makes him being a villain more personal for Batman. It's more of a reluctance at times.
Yeah. I can definitely go along with that. And like, yeah, the Long Halloween as well was just a great sort of origin story for Two-Face. So I think that alone will help bump him up in my estimation.
Okay. All right. And I'll be honest with you, this is, like I said, the 4th time I've looked at this list, and every time I feel the same way. Boy, that drop after Two-Face is brutal. So we've got Black Mask. John, you have Black Mask in your C tier. Dylan, you have him in your D tier. And I have Black Mask in my F tier.
Wow.
Yeah. I think aside from torturing Stephanie Brown with a power drill, I don't know if Black Mask ever really accomplished much for me aside from random mob boss with a mask.
God damn, he's as good as Killer Moth?
I would say so. I mean, one of his other memorable parts is in Under the Red Hood when Jason Todd comes back is, a very comedic scene of panels where, Black Mask is talking to Hood on the phone and he says, hey, look across the street, and he looks over and he sees Red Hood waving at him with a missile launcher pointed at him. So it's like kind of a joke character in that sense. He kind of got jobbed out there.
Wow. You didn't mention that one in the last episode.
Well, there's only so much we can mention,
I only put him in C tier because of my affinity for Ewan McGregor, so I am more than happy to drop him down.
Ewan McGregor.
So are we dropping him down to D or to F is the question.
I'm happy to go to D. I don't think he's an F tier.
You don't think he's an F tier? So you don't think he's in the realm of ventriloquist, Firefly, or Killer Moth?
No, I don't. I think he's
I'll
more of a villain.
I'll give you that just because I know Catwoman's had some struggles with him in her comic. So, I'll give you D.
Okay.
That sounds fair.
I'm happy enough for that.
All right, and our last one is a character that made Dylan laugh really hard when I mentioned him. It's Mr. Zsasz. So, John, you have Mr. Zsasz listed in your D tier. Dylan, you have him in your F tier, and I have him in my D tier as well. And I think it's just body count alone, just because he's a serial killer for me.
Yeah. Plus, he gets around. He seems to pop up in different video games and whatnot as well. So.
I mean, he's that low card jobber. Oh yeah, he's like the first named villain you fight in Arkham Asylum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, can I just really quickly call back to something Corey just said?
Yeah, what's up?
He's that low card jobber.
He is?
That would be F tier.
That's Chad Gable. So you're gonna say that Chad Gable is an F tier?
No, I don't think that Chad Gable is that low tier jobber.
I think he is a low tier jobber.
Chad Gable just won a match on Raw.
No, El
Chad
Grande
Gable.
Americano.
Right.
We don't know who's under that mask.
It could be anybody.
Could be the Midnight Rider. We don't know.
Okay. But it's Chad Gable, though.
What I'm saying is, yes, but Chad Gable is also a guy who spent the last few years in a comedy, low card heel team with Otis and Alpha Academy, And then there was the failed American Made launch that happened. What I'm saying is Mr. Zsasz is not he might get a win every now and then, but he's winning against Tozawa.
Yeah.
Which would put him in F tier.
No, because like I said, he's got a body count.
You just said he was winning against guys like Okawa. He never wins, so he's an F tier.
Tozawa, yes.
Well, yeah,
but
exactly. But he still wins.
Yeah, he
still wins occasionally.
He still wins.
You guys are saying he's not very good.
Yes, but I'm saying he's better than F. Killer Moth doesn't have a body count.
Not by much.
Yeah, that's why it's D.
I don't think so, man. This sounds like this guy's not good.
No, like I said, he's got a body count. He has significantly killed a ton of people. That's why he has tally marks all over him. So? Killer Moth didn't do that shit. Killer Moth struggles to rob a bank.
He's a fucking moth.
Yes, exactly. That's why he's better than F tier.
I disagree. I don't think this guy, because what else has he done? What's his big storyline?
He doesn't have a big storyline because he's D tier.
What's that? Because he's a jobber, F tier.
Because he's so that's the same. So that is the same area of Solomon Grundy, which we put him at. Which is just Grundy doesn't do much.
Gable has had loads of storylines, and this guy hasn't. This guy's an F tier.
I don't know. I disagree. I feel like he's better than F tier. I'm not saying he's C or above. I'm saying he's D. You could even put him on the cusp of D to F. But
can we put him in E?
We can put him in E. Sure, we'll have him in E the same way that we had. Who was originally in your E? Was it Man-Bat?
Killer Moth, I think.
You put him in there.
Killer Moth was in my E tier. John, what do you think? E tier?
So wait. Hold up. You put Killer Moth in your E tier, which had and you had the most F tier people. So you thought Killer Moth was better than
Firefly, the Mad Hatter, the ventriloquist, this fucking guy we're talking about, and the Joker, technically.
I just don't see it.
Why? He's a killer.
Yeah, but this actually is
Mr.
a killer.
Zaz.
Yeah, but he's got wings.
He hasn't actually killed anyone.
So
Mr. Zaz has killed people.
Can this guy fly? Probably not.
Killer Moth fly very well? Probably not.
Can this guy fly at all? Probably not. So I don't think you should. That's not a fair comparison.
I mean, are we going to play the numbers game on this one? Is what it sounds like.
It sure looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sounds like that's what we're doing.
I am disappointed. I mean, honestly, this guy I couldn't give a shit about. Part of the reason they put him so low is because he has a shitty name.
Yeah.
It's a terrible name.
Yeah,
right?
Like I said, it is a steep drop after Two-Face.
Yeah. Well, there was only 2 after Two-Face, so.
Yeah, true. But we go Riddler, Two-Face, and then these two.
Riddler and Two-Face are big deals.
Yeah.
You know, Riddler, Two-Face, like.
So before we do a recap, unofficially, because he's not here, Mr. Freeze, looking at what we have in front of us, where are we putting Freeze?
A tier? Me and John both said A tier.
Yeah.
I mean, I would, seeing everybody lined up, and that's why I wanted to do it this way, I would put him in A tier, but I just don't see him that significantly better than, like, a Deathstroke. But I would say A tier.
Okay. Let's say Mr. Freeze in A tier.
I would say A tier.
I'm happy with that.
Yep. All right. So to recap, because that's our official Smark Avengers Batman tier list. Some of it under duress, some of it under agreement, but we got here regardless. S tier, we have Joker, the Riddler, and Two-Face. A tier, we have Ra's al Ghul, Bane, Catwoman, Penguin, and Poison Ivy. B tier, we have Killer Croc, Deathstroke the Terminator, Scarecrow, Harley Quinn, and the Court of Owls. C tier, we have Deadshot, Hush, Hugo Strange, and the Red Hood. D tier, we have Man-Bat, the Mad Hatter, Professor Pig, Solomon Grundy, Black Mask, and Mr. Zaz. And F tier, we have Killer Moth, Firefly, and the Ventriloquist. Is there anything that you guys want to revisit? Anything that you feel like you could convince someone to shift their opinion on? Where do we stand?
What do you think, John?
I mean, I still think Jason Todd's ranked too high, but I feel like I'm not going to be able to convince you guys that he does not deserve to be C tier. But
okay.
Yeah.
I just think it's that element of knowing that, look who he's beside. He's beside Hugo Strange and Hush, 2 other guys who know that Bruce Wayne is Batman. And this is a guy who knows him because Bruce trained him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the one I was going to contest was Penguin.
Like I said, you got me to go from B to A. I cannot go higher than that for Penguin.
But it's really S tier.
Mm-hmm.
John?
I would be happy to put him in S tier, but like
really S tier.
Seeing him lined up with Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Bane, Ra's al Ghul, I think, he doesn't feel out of place amongst those people.
Think about the first 3 Batman films. Who were the villains in it? Joker, Penguin, Two-Face.
Penguin in a characterization
Riddler.
that is not like anything else he's ever been in.
Two-Face in a characterization he's never been in.
Dark Knight was like the Dark Knight is Long Halloween for all intents and purposes.
I was talking about the first 3 films.
Oh, you're talking about Tommy Lee Jones.
Correct.
Who admittedly did not really like doing that movie at all and said he had no room for Jim Carrey's buffoonery.
Correct.
He was basically playing Two-Face like Jack Nicholson played the Joker, though.
Yeah, he was playing a really strange. That's what I'm saying.
Because he was just playing generic insane man.
It's not the same characterization. Well, neither was.
That's what I'm saying. But like Penguin has only had one portrayal, and it was Danny DeVito, and it was nothing like anything that's ever been in the comics.
And it was great.
But Aaron Eckhart played.
It was great.
Played the Long Halloween Two-Face in Dark Knight.
And what you're saying is Colin Farrell has been playing the Penguin, and his portrayal is more comic accurate, and it's also great.
Yes,
So that's
but he's
two
playing
great penguins
low
as
level.
opposed to one great Two-Face.
He's playing. No, you're playing
Yes,
one.
it is.
No, because I wouldn't say that he played a accurate penguin in the Batman, a movie you have not seen.
No.
Okay, but yes, he is subservient to John Turturro in that movie, which is, like I said, right
But
where he kind of belongs.
In the
This looks great,
Batman, in the Penguin TV series, though, he kind
He
of
moves up.
maneuvers his way through the criminal underworld until he's pretty much in charge of it by the end.
Sounds pretty
Yeah,
great
exactly.
to me.
But
Doesn't
that's
it?
exactly where he is. He is a crime boss. He is not I'm going to take over Gotham City like a Joker or a Riddler. He does not have the personal connection to Batman like a Two-Face. He is right where he belongs. I would say, if anything, it's a gift for him to be that close to Ra's al Ghul.
That is an outrageous thing to say, and you should feel ashamed of yourself.
I did not know that we were going to be fighting this hotly about Penguin, but here we are.
Oh yeah, dude, this is a sticking point.
I mean, it is what it is. That seems to be the case. I'm looking very forward to now doing this with like Spider-Man villains, because I'm going to be completely out of my fucking depth on those.
Yeah. How many villains did we put into this list?
Good number. Let's see, 3, and that is, so that's 9, 10,
25?
15, 20, 20.
Yeah.
Yes.
John, do you think we could just narrow it down to 25 Spider-Man villains?
Boy, let me tell you something real quick. I was gonna say, like, I don't think we could do 25 Spider-Man villains, but looking at this list, like, some of these choices were really weird. Like, I don't know if you would have put Professor Pig on a list like this previously and not included Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
No, I would have
like, some of the choices were odd.
Yeah.
Like, I could see someone making this list and not including Solomon Grundy, Professor Pig, Firefly, and maybe Ventriloquist.
I could see them not putting Firefly on. Solomon Grundy, I think, would have been on the list somewhere.
I mean, he was an original Green Lantern villain.
Okay. I think I would have put him on the list, though.
Yeah. So yeah, no, it'll be interesting when we revisit this concept with like Spider-Man villains, or like we do like X-Men, because that, like I said, that one's gonna be wild, I'm sure.
Yep.
Exactly. But
Whenever me and Corey rank Magneto really low, somebody gets really annoyed about that.
someone gets real unhappy with us because we rank Magneto low, and it's like, well, I mean, he did turn into a baby that one time. I have to take points off for turning into a baby.
You know the rules.
All right, folks. That's going to do us for today. John, where are you at in your movie count?
I have watched 247 movies so far this year.
What was your last one?
It was Mississippi Burning with the late, great Gene Hackman and Willem Dafoe.
Was that intentional because of the passing of Gene Hackman? Or is it just coincidental?
It's sort of coincidental. Like, I do have a lot of Gene Hackman movies on my watch list that I would very much like to get to, but it's also, this movie was about to leave Amazon Prime UK in the next few days, so I had to sneak it in there pretty quick.
That's fair. Dylan, what's going on in the world? Well, actually, no, real quick though, John, if people want to see what your thoughts on Mississippi Burning is, where can they go find those?
They can find it on Letterboxd at Big Jombowski, all one word.
And Dog, the bounty hunter's cousin. How's it going with Dog these days?
He's really good, man. He's doing really well. We gave him a bath with like special dog shampoo, and his coat is looking really shiny.
That's
And
nice.
we're very happy about that. You know, he's really like putting the fear of God into all the villains he has to fight now, because they see him and they're so scared because they think he's going to be like this uncouth big villain, but then they see him and like, he looks beautiful.
Well,
I guess arrested by a beautiful man.
Well, and then he also like tries to convert them to Christianity whenever he does like apprehend them.
But that's because they're all sinners, Corey.
Yeah, you gotta get right with Christ, brah.
Those are the rules. I don't know if that's in the Bible.
I don't know. I just remember like the very little times I watched the Dog the Bounty Hunter show. no matter who he ended up apprehending, there was always a scene where he gives them a cigarette and goes, "You got to get right with Christ, brah."
Nice to give him a cigarette.
Yeah.
It's your Lord and
Keeps in
Savior,
line
brah.
with, yeah, what Jesus would have wanted. You know.
But does anything going on in the world of Captain Explodey these days? Not really.
No.
That's fair.
Off we go.
Off we go. So I have my other show, Large Old Cup. Been a little bit of a break as of late with it, but oh well, we'll get back to it when we get back to it. Until next time, though, which I think, fingers crossed, I have some ideas of stuff to do. Yeah, we'll see you all next time. Goodbye.
See you later.
Bye-bye.
There it is.